head trash. We hear that term thrown around, head trash. And that can really hold us back personally with our self-leadership. The head trash, what is it? It's the junk or lies. It keeps us from positive action. It's that manure that we feel is just dumped on us, the compost that's just dumped on us, that we can't get out of. And if you can't get out of your own head trash and of your own self-limiting beliefs, how are you going to be able to work with your team effectively? It's draining, it's exhausting. Well, one of the little areas of head trash is comparison. Because when we start comparing with each other and with all of our social media bubbles that are out there, they just fade away. It's not real. It's not real. Well, there's someone that does use that head trash. We could turn that head trash around. As we are struggling with that, we know that there are people on our team that are also struggling with that. Someone that really uses this to his advantage is Michael Phelps. I mean, he's one of the most decorated Olympians of all time. How many gold medals? I think 23. He's won 27 or 29, something in all. Amazing. But he has 5 main habits. And he uses head trash to push him further. He reads some of those reviews. He reads some of the things written about him. And he uses it to motivate him further. That's a way you can use it for the positive. But when you use it for the negative, what happens? We feel not good enough. We can never keep up. What about people that are starting in a new business? They're starting their own businesses. It's a big deal right now when you're reinventing yourself, they're downsizing all of a sudden. What do I do? Well, we lived in Orange County for a number of years, and I know for a fact there are a lot of businesses based on smoke and mirrors. It's almost like a movie set. You've got the front, but then you got to fulfill the scene. Right? There's smoke and mirrors that a lot of people are using now that we compare ourselves with each other. Another area that's hard for many in our mindsets is keeping up. And every generation has gone through this. Every single generation. What about those in the horse and buggies? Okay. Oh man, I just got this new horse. It is the best horse, but you know, I just heard there's an automobile out. What is that thing? I can never learn to drive. It has an engine. What is an engine? Every single generation goes through this. Computers. Remember, does anybody remember? I'm going to date myself a little bit here. When I started college, I had friends who were computer science majors. They came out with stacks of cards. They had rooms of computers. And now we've got our phone. Technology, how it increases. How many of you had cash this morning for your drawing? How many had cash? There were a couple in here. A couple says, oh, I gotta go get cash. I don't carry cash anymore. Well, when credit cards first came out, they thought they'd never last. Oh, what do you mean? A card? I've got cash. And now what's happening? Cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, it's all virtual. Every single generation goes through some of these changes. It's nothing new. It's nothing new. There's no new song written, by the way. You can go back and hear melodies and rhythms from way, way back. You can study Beethoven, you can study Mozart, and you can study some of those, Debussy, one of my favorite. The harmonies in it are so rich, Ravel. And there's nothing really new. It's just revisited and it's reinvented. Well, what about our technology? Of course, I've delved into technology quite a bit. In fact, I do quite a bit in that area because of being a musician and recorded a number of projects and written and produced. And when you go into the back end of much of the technology, especially in music, it's binary code. There's 2 numbers, 0s and 1s. My encouragement in technology, because it is a little scary, all right? Sometimes you're going, I don't understand. Simplify it. And that's a mindset. dealing with, first of all, you've got your head trash you're dealing with, but now technology, simplify it. Adaptive change. This is going beyond that technical, of course, but includes a shift in our own belief system about ourselves. It affects both our self-leadership in our mindsets and our leadership of others in our communication to them. As we start applying this, there's the importance of routine. My father, when I started college, he bought a little low-wing Piper airplane. And he would say, where do you want to go for your birthday? Or where do you want to go this special day? Can we go to lunch? I loved going up with him flying. I loved it. We'd go out to his little plane, and I was anxious, of course, to take off. But he had a list. And he went through every single thing on that list before we could take off. Every single thing. Very thankful he went through every single thing on that list. Recently, he said, you know, I haven't driven my motorhome in a couple years, and why don't we sell it? I went into the front of that motorhome. To the left of the steering wheel was a list. Every single thing that he needed to do before driving that motorhome and putting a tow vehicle on it. Went into his office. I looked around that office. Everywhere you can imagine were lists, phone numbers, the types of contacts that he needed to have. We've computerized a lot of that now. But a good routine is a management tool. You see, my father has needed this through the journey he has recently been on. As I was there the nights, I watched his routine. He'd go in and brush his teeth. And then he'd dip his comb in the water. Comb the sides and back of his hair because there was nothing on top, but it was all neat. He'd put deodorant on. I said, Daddy, you're going to bed. You're putting deodorant on. He'd just shrug his shoulders. It was a routine. It was a management tool for him, and a very important part of this journey that he had been on. Now, recently, my husband and I have been going through this little program. Anybody heard of Duolingo in here? Only a couple people? Oh, you need to get onto Duolingo. We've been studying Italian. And I guess one of the most popular languages is English. How about that? So if you have a team that needs to learn English, how about that? It's a wonderful tool. But without being afraid to be a lifelong learner. And also, I really want you to really like living. My father passed yesterday. I wasn't sure if I was going to get through all of this because of how special he is to me. I have played at so many memorial services. I've been a part of people's journeys, but this was my daddy. I loved him so much. My sister, all of us. And it meant a lot that I was able to spend these 2 months watching his routine, because that's how he even managed the last 2 months of his life. A man who had never been in the hospital one day for himself. But he kept with his routine, with that shrug. It's part of it. Again, I'm not afraid of dying, but I really like living. And I hope with your mindsets, that's a big mindset, and to really, really like living, because that will transfer to your team. I started teaching piano when I was 13 years old because I didn't want to babysit and didn't want to pull weeds. Okay, I think I could teach piano lessons for 50 cents an hour. That's much better. So I started teaching neighbor kids, and soon their parents started taking from me. I was teaching adults when I was 13. I know teaching very well. I have the degrees, I got all that. But one thing I really, really know is with teaching and with instruction, more is caught than taught. Can I see some head nods on that? If I can teach someone to love music and love what they're doing, they're going to go far beyond what I can ever train them to do because they're going to be self-motivated. But that's a mindset. And we have to do that with ourselves as well, our self-leadership branched out to others.